So in the previous class, we have seen, can somebody brief me what we have seen in the previous class? We have looked into the operators and all that, right? Yes. What else
Yes,
we have?
ma'am. Printf
Yes.
function and input function,
Input function and
output and
output
input
function.
function.
Wonderful,
Types of
wonderful.
expressions.
Types of expressions, very good. Okay, so that's what is the slide I'm showing you. So you know all these expressions, we already have seen them bitwise. Okay, so everything we have seen in different slides we have seen. I just have consolidated all the expressions together in a single slide for you over here. So there are 7 kinds of expressions: the constant expressions, which just include the constant values in it; the integral, which results in an integer value; floating, which results in a floating value; and relational, which gives me a boolean true or false; and logical expression, where there will be an logical and or, and which will result in a true or false; and bitwise expressions, which will give me the bitwise which will perform the operation on the bit level and give me the result in the decimal value. Okay, assignment operator, anyway, which will assign whatever you do on the right side will be assigned to the variable on the left side. Okay, so now coming back to the strings once again, let us just look into certain examples of strings. Yeah, let us just look into some of the examples of strings. Okay, so concatenation, which we have already seen. So let's put it. Um, See, one very important interview question again that I would like to discuss is between. So there is a concept which is called as operator overloading. So what does it mean by operator overloading is, for example, if I take the operator plus, what happens is there are different ways or different functionalities of this. Okay. For example, if I am trying to say 9 plus 10, okay. So in this particular scenario, this plus will act like an arithmetic operator. Okay, so it will do some addition between these two numerical numbers. And the same plus, I'm using it for another purpose, which is called as concatenation. Okay, so this such kind of concepts are called as operator overloading. Okay, the same operator will be used for different purposes. Okay, so based on the context, it will change its functionality. Okay, so when two strings are given as two operands for this particular plus, it will act like a concatenation operator. When two integer literals are given, it will act like an arithmetic operator. Okay, such kind of concept is called as an operator overloading. Anyway, just keep that word in mind. Okay, you give me an example of operator overloading. So they'll ask you a question like this. They won't say, tell me what is concatenation operator, or they won't ask you something like this. They'll say, can you give me an example of operator overloading? Here, the plus is considered to be an operator. Overloading means that it shows different functionality in different situations. Okay, so in this particular situation, it will act like an arithmetic plus. In this particular situation, context, it will act like an concatenation operator. Such concept is called as operator overloading, and it is a very important interview question. Okay, so these operator overloading, method overloading, operator overloading, all these are very important interview questions. There won't be any interview without these questions. And the next question they'll ask you is, they'll ask you whether this operator overloading is supported by a programming language or not. This in itself is a concept. Okay, so this in itself is a concept. So, okay, so what is an example of operator overloading? Plus is an example of an operator overloading. Is to print the string that you have mentioned over here multiple times. Okay, how can you do this? You can do this without loops. Okay, so generally in programming, if you want to repeat a statement multiple times, if you want to print a particular text multiple times on the screen, what you can do is you have to use either while loop or do while loop or for loop or whatever. But here you can just simply say *5 after the text. Okay, so when you say *5, it will print 5 times the text that you have given here on the output. You might not be needing it all the time, but just we are learning everything so that when you write your programs, you might need it. Okay, so the next operation on the string is slicing a string. So you can also slice the string. Okay, so you can slice the string, or you can get the subsets of the string by using this syntax. Okay, so there is a square bracket here, and the beginning and the ending can be given separated by a colon over here. Okay, so the specify the range. In case if you want to specify the range, you'll be doing it with this particular syntax. Okay, the first character is obviously 0 in a particular string, and then the last one is obviously n minus 1, where n is the length of the string. Okay, fine. If we want to extract characters starting from end of the string, okay, so if you want to extract characters from the end of the string, then you have to specify a negative index. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So I have written a program over here, and I'll show you that. Okay, so this is a program, girls. Okay, so you can just take a look at this particular program. So I have taken a string which is str, and I said Sri Vishnu Engineering College for Women. So this is the string over here. Okay, so this is a string, and then I am saying print str. So what is the output of this particular one? So you can see here. So since I said I just want the entire string to be printed, so it will say Sri Vishnu Engineering College for Women will be printed on the output. Okay, so in the next case, what I said is I said string str, and I'm saying 0. This is just like extracting the characters from your character array. Okay, so we declare a character array, right? We say str10 is equal to something, and then we try to extract each and every character from the array by using the index numbers. So even here, this 0, 3, 9, and all that are the index numbers. Okay, so starting from the 0 number. So what is the 0 character at the 0 index? The character at the 0 index is this one. Yes. Okay. So S is printed on the screen. So str0 will print an S for me on the screen. Okay. So this is the output of this particular print statement. Now coming to the next slicing. Okay. So I'm trying to extract the substring. So I said 3:9. Okay, so please do see this very carefully. 9 means it is not the ninth character, it is n minus 1. 9 minus 1 till 8 only it will give. Okay, so from 3. So this is 0, 1, okay, 2, and 3. Okay, so 4. This space is 4, and then 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Okay, so it will give till h only. Okay, so the output is this. So from I till h it will give you. Okay, so this is what is the subset. So I have extracted the subset from the string. So this is the outcome of this particular print statement. And the next one is I said from 4. Okay, so from 4, and I gave a colon over here, and I'm saying till the end. If I just live with this outer range, it will print the entire string for me. So from the 4th character. So what is the 4th character? 4th character is a space over here. Okay, so from space, it will print the entire string for me. And the next one is, I said we can give the negative numbers if you want it from the end. So if I say -1, okay, so if I say -1, it will give the last character. It will give the last character in the string. So what is the last character in the string? The last character in the string is n. So it will give n for me in the output. So n is the output of this particular print statement. Then I said -5. Okay, so -5 will print the from last but the 5th one. Okay, so last but the 5th one. So this is -1, -2, -3, -4, and this is -5. So W will be printed on the screen for me. So this is this one. And I said from -1, -5 till the end. Okay, since I didn't mention the range over here, so the upper bound over here.
So from W, from -1 till the end of the string, it will print for me. So which is printing women for me on the screen. Okay, and then I'm saying is to 3. Okay, so I'm mentioning how many characters I want from the beginning. Okay, so from the beginning, I just want the 3 characters. So the first 3 characters will be printed on the screen for me. Okay, so this is how you can do slicing of the string, and you can extract them. Okay, so in case if you want to find out the repeated words or whatever, so for your application, any one of these particular print statements may be helpful to you. Okay, so coming to the other data types, so we have seen Boolean, we have seen integers, we have seen floats, numbers. Okay, so numbers, strings, and all that. And coming to the next data type, the next data type is the list data type. List data types are the most versatile data types in Python. Okay, and so what is the syntax of a list? Okay, so before getting into the syntax, just understand that lists are similar to arrays from the C language that you have learned. Okay, here because arrays are also given with square brackets, even here the lists are also given enclosed. The items or the elements inside the list are given in square bracket. And wherein here in the programming of C, you will be mentioning the size of the array in the square bracket, not the elements. Elements will be mentioned in curly brackets in the array. Okay, so don't get confused with it. I'm just trying to give you some connection between arrays and lists. So I said that square brackets are common in list and arrays. Okay, but and the items are separated by commas. Okay, so the items are separated by commas. Here there is a significance for curly bracket, there is significance for square bracket, and there is significance for parentheses. Okay, so this square brackets will be using for lists, and this parenthesis will be using for tuples, and this will be using for dictionaries, the key value pairs. So each and every bracket over here is having a significance. So the square bracket is having a significance over here because it is associated with the list. Okay, so it's associated with the list. And the only difference you can observe in an array can contain, what is an array? Like if I just give you the Dennis Ritchie textbook definition of array from the C programming, he say that it's a homogeneous collection of data. Okay, so that's what I have mentioned here, that homogeneous means that it can only contain either integer kind of data or character kind of data or floating kind of data. Okay, you cannot give different data types in an array. If you want different data types in a single variable name, then you have to give it in a structure. You can't give it in an array. Okay, that's the difference. Whereas here in the list, like it contains different data types. Okay, and the values of the list are accessed using indexes. So here also you're having indexes for the elements inside the list, like how you have elements indexes for the arrays. And the starting index number is 0, and obviously the last one will be n minus 1, where n is the total number of elements in the list. Okay, so this is a list, and so we'll just look into a program how to give a list and all that. So just take a look at the first point that I have written here, like strings. Okay, so like strings, we can use a slice and concatenation and repetition for the list also. Okay, and I also will discuss one very important point with the list in the next example. So this is a list over here. So I have given a name to it like list. And as I said, the difference between an array and a list is that అక్కడ ఉన్నాయి చూడనా Okay, so the difference between the array and the list is that array is a homogeneous collection of data, but as you can see here, you're having a character, you're having a string, you're having an integer, you're having a floating value. So all kinds of data can be accommodated in a string, in a list. So this is a list, and this is another list wherein I said that the name of the list is list2, which is having 2 elements in it. So the elements are numbered as 0, right? So 0, 1, 2, and 3 like that. Okay, so they have the index numbers as well. So I'm just printing the list. Okay, so as I print the list is printed as it is with the elements on the console for us. So this is what is the output of this particular print. And in the next case, I'm saying list, and then I said 0. So I said this is the first element at 0th index. So A is printed on the screen. And next is I'm saying I'm giving a range. Okay, so I'm saying 1 is to 3. Okay, so wherein it will just print 1 and 2 for me. As I said, it will take the range -1. So 1 is BC and then 78 will be printed. So this is the outcome of this particular print for us. And this list will give me the, okay, so this list will give me the number from 2 to end. So this is where, so it's giving 78 and 1.23 till the end. Okay, because I didn't mention the upper bound. And this is where I'm repeating the string 2 times, the list 2 times. So this is the first time, and this is the second time it is printing it. And herein I am concatenating both the lists. Okay, so I said list 1 plus list 2. So this is till here it is the list 1, and D and 78 is the list 2. So both the lists are printed here. So this, okay, so you can just observe that lists are mutable. Okay, so lists are mutable. What does it mean by mutable? Mutable means that the values can be changed. Okay, so A is at the index number 0, BC is at index number 1, 78 is at index number 2, and 1.23 is at index number 3. Okay, right. Now, when I printed the values in the list, it is just printing what and all is there in the list, it will print for me. So the first print statement which is printing all the elements from the list. So what I did over here is I have changed the value at index 3. At index 3, it is 1.23, but I have changed the value at the index 3 to be 1056. Possible. Okay, so everything in Python is object. So you can happily use the word object. Okay, so here we are talking about what we are referring here is we are referring to an object being mutable and immutable. Okay, so when an object can be changed, then it is called as mutable. So let us list. Okay, so if it is a list object, then it's mutable. If it is a string object, it is immutable. Okay, so that's what I just have shown you in the program. And next data type is tuple. Okay, so is tuple. So tuple is similar to list. Okay, so it is similar to the list, but here the syntax is different. So the syntax is like you'll be using a parenthesis. Okay, so there are many people like who get confused with the list parentheses and tuples and then dictionaries. Okay, whenever you have a pair, so when I'm having the curly bracket, tuple, you can imagine it to be the tulip flower. Okay, so the tulip flower petals will be round in shape. So here tuples is associated with parentheses. I'm just trying to give you some memory map. Okay, so that you can easily recognize and you can remember it. So it is very important for us to create memory maps so that the concepts are the concepts sit deep in your brain. Okay, so that is parentheses. And when you're talking about lists, I said lists are very much similar to your arrays. So that's why just associated with an square bracket, and also the L over here is in the shape of square bracket, so you can just associate it with the square one, because there are many students like who get confused with what is the type of bracket that we associate with each and every data type. So I just try to give you some association between them. And the elements are put inside the parentheses separated by commas. And the difference between the lists and tuples is that tuples are immutable. Okay, so they are similar to your strings, they cannot be changed. So tuple is only read-only data type. Okay, so here list is a mutable one, tuple is an immutable one, string is immutable one. Okay, so dictionaries are mutable or immutable?
Notable, ma'am.
Dictionaries are mutable. Okay, right, good. Okay, so here I have shown you an example of tuples. So here I have taken a tuple over here. So then I have taken another tuple over here. So I just have printed the tuple here. So it will just print all the elements inside the tuple. And this is the first element of the tuple. And these are the elements from 1 to 2. And this is from 2 to end. Okay, and this is repetition of the tuple 2 times. And this is concatenation of the 2 tuples. Okay, so similar to how we have seen with the list, I just have given the same operations, but the thing is like they are immutable. So to show you that they are immutable, I have written a program over here. So so here I said tuple is equal to some values I have given, and I just wanted to change the tuple at index number 2. Okay, so at index number 2, I'm having 78. I just wanted to change 78 to 15, like how I have done for the list. And when I try to print, see, it is saying object does not support item assignment. Okay, so this is what is the error that you will get. Okay, so the first statement, since it is interpreter line by line execution, so till second line it executed correctly, but after the second line there is a problem. So the output will be given till the line it is executing properly, and after that there is a problem, so it is showing me an error. Okay, so that you cannot reassign, you cannot change. So this is what is called as immutable. And next one is the dictionaries. Okay, so Python dictionary stores. Now dictionaries are very popular data structures. Okay, so maybe in your syllabus you don't have dictionaries, but I am dealing with advanced data structures for the MTech students, wherein we are having one data structure which is dictionaries data structures. Examples of the dictionary data structures is a hash table, wherein the fastest, because you are studying many data structures, right? You are studying stacks, queues, you are studying linear data structures, you are studying non-linear data structures. In the linear, you are studying linked list, stack, queues, and non-linear, you will be studying data, trees and all that stuff. Graphs and all that comes under the category of non-linear data structures. Now, among all the various data structures that you are studying, okay, so the fastest, because there are various time complexities that we'll discuss associated with the data structure. We say like what is the best time complexity, we say what is the average time complexity, and we also say what is the worst time complexity. Okay, so coming to the data structures, whenever we compare these data structures, the worst case time complexity, whatever data structure is giving best in terms of worst case time complexity, then that is considered to be the best data structure. And among all the time complexities, order of 1, which is called as the constant time complexity, is the best among the list of the time complexities. And if you consider this dictionaries, why you need a data structure on the first hand? Data structure on the first hand to arrange the data in a particular format so that the retrieval of the data to be extracted in a faster way. That's why you go structures. Why we go for data structures is to arrange the data in a specific format. So there are many that you perform. You can delete operation, find operation, search operation. But among all the operations, the main operation that you put the data in order is to make your search operation. So among all these data structures, these dictionaries are used for fast retrievals of the data because you are having a key value pair, and the search operation will give the result in constant time. So that's the beauty of dictionaries. Okay, anyway, time complexities and all this irrelevant as okay, but time complexity play a role when we write an algorithm. It is very important that we write an algorithm which executes very fast. So time complexity, as of now, we'll just keep this time complexity. Now the key values are strings over here. Okay, so and the key is a string. Okay, and the value is any data type. Okay, and the key value pairs are enclosed in they're enclosed in curly brackets or flower brackets or mustache brackets. Okay, right. And each key value pair is separated by a colon. So there is a colon. So you will be separating the key and the value by okay, and to access any value, okay, you need to specify its key in the square bracket. This is just like how you access the index number, right? So herein you won't be having the index number. You'll be just accessing it with the key part. Okay. And so you can see list and dictionaries are mutable data types whose values can be changed. So herein I have given a dictionary. So this is the key and this is the value. So the key is product and the value is book. Okay, so the value can be any data type. And this is the key price and then this is the value. So it is separated by a colon over here. Okay, so this is what is called as dictionary key value pair. And if I just want the value at the key product, so I'll just give dict and the name of the dictionary, and then I'm putting it. I can give it in single quotes or double quotes. Anything is valid syntax. So I just wanted to show you that. And then it is giving book over here, and it is giving 78.23. Since dictionaries are mutable, see, I tried to change the value. Okay, so I tried to change the value of the price from 78 rupees to 1009.56 rupees, whatever rupees or dollars or sterling or whatever. So I just changed the value of the price, and this is valid. Okay, so when I try to print the value again, price again, it is showing the updated price over here. And there are many operations. To just to show one operation, you can just say len of dictionary. This is just like finding out the length of the string and all that. You can also use len for the dictionary. I said len of dictionary. Okay, so how many key value pairs are there? So there are two key value pairs. This is 1 and 2. Okay, so there are two key value pairs. So it is giving me a 2 over here. Okay, fine. So this is all about the first unit. So we have successfully finished each and every topic from the first unit. I'll just to show you the syllabus of the first unit so that you can build your confidence. So take a look at the first unit, girls. It will appear on your screen. Right. So this is your first unit, mark. So in the first unit, we have seen the basics of the program. Python we have covered, comparison with C programming we have seen, and then Python virtual machine we have seen, and we have seen literals, we have seen variables and identifiers, we have covered the topics of data type have seen comments, we have seen the reserved words, we have seen indentation, how important is indentation, and then we have covered all the operators, 8 operators, and then the input and output statements, and then type conversions. Apart from this, I also have covered your expressions. Okay, so different kinds of expressions I have shown you. And I have shown each and every concept with programming example. Okay, so with this we have come to the end of the first unit. So before winding off the first unit, let me choose program. So we'll just do some, and then we'll see certain programs, and then we'll close this first unit. Okay, right. And then we'll move coming to the first program. So this is just to brush on with the concepts that we have seen so far. Okay, what is the first program? I want all of you to write it in your notebooks. Okay, write a program to enter a number and display its hex equivalent and octal equivalent and its square. Okay, so for that we are using this input function to take a number, and then we are actually typecasting it to integer over here. So we said num is equal to int of input enter a number. And after that, this is all about using your concatenation operator to print the result as you like on the screen. Okay, so how you want the result to appear on the screen, in that manner you are putting it in the print statement. Like how you write your printf statement, you write your printf statement in such a way that it is understood by the user. So in the same way we are writing that. So we are saying hexadecimal of, and I have put it in double quotes, so it will say hexadecimal of. And after that, I want the number for which I have found out the hexadecimal to be there on the screen. So again, I have used a concatenation over here, and I'm converting this number to the string because concatenation can happen between two strings only. So when I said string of number, so it will convert this number into the string and concatenate to this hexadecimal of. So 15 is printed here. And then there is another string here, which I concatenated and I said is. And then I hope everybody remembered this hex of number. So in typecasting, I told you that there is a function which is called as hex of x. Whatever number you give into this hex x will be converted into this hexadecimal number. So first thing what happened is, the internal function is executed. The internal function will convert this number 15 into hexadecimal code, and this hexadecimal code is converted into a string, and it is concatenated to the. So the hexadecimal code is 0x, and 15 represents f in the hexadecimal digits. So f is printed over here for you. Okay, so I just gave 15 so that you can easily calculate it. Okay, so that's why I gave 15. And next is so this is how you will display the number in hexadecimal. And say you want to display the number in octal. Okay, display in octal. So you're having a function which is oct of x. Okay, so you'll be using this oct of x. So this x will be converted into the octal number. So octal numbers are preceded. Octal numbers are preceded with 0 and O, and after that the octal number is displayed over here. Okay, and next is the square root. Okay, so to use the square root, we are using this exponential operator. So the exponential operator is double star. So we are using that to actually find out the square root. Okay, so this is the first program, and the square root is, and if how many digits you want after this decimal, you can use whatever. So far we have seen many concepts. So all those concepts you can use, and you can actually format your output according to your requirement. So this is the first question. So I just wanted to make you understand how to write a program. So I hope everybody understood how to write the first program. First program is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So coming to the second program. The second program is write a program to read and print values of variables of different data types. Okay, so of different data types. So here we want to read and print values of a different data type. So what the first one is we are reading an integer data type. The second one is we are reading a floating data type. The third one is we are reading again a floating data type, and fourth one is we are reading a string data type. Don't forget to practice, all of you. Okay, take a screenshot of the document I am, and all of you do practice today at your home, because you are computer science and engineering students and you people need to know programming. ఓకే, సో అది ఎలా ఉంటుందంటే నేను షెఫ్ అని చెప్పి ఒక స్టవ్ వెలిగించడం కూడా రానట్టుగా ఉంటుంది. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ సేయింగ్ దట్ ఐఎమ్ కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ అండ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ స్టూడెంట్ అని చెప్పి అసలు కోడ్ రాయడమే రాకపోతే దెర్ ఇస్ నో మీనింగ్ అసలు. ఓకే, సో దెర్ ఇస్ no purpose itself for you to spend so much of money and do your BTech. ఓకే, అసలు అందులో అర్థమే లేదండి. ఐ గేవ్ యూ అన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, రైట్? ఐఎమ్ సేయింగ్ ఐఎమ్ ఏ గుడ్ కుక్ అండ్ ఐఎమ్ సేయింగ్ నాకు స్టవ్ వెలిగించడమే రాదంటున్నాను. సో అలా ఉంటుంది అనమాట. సో యూ హ్యావ్ టు ప్రాక్టీస్. అండ్ చాలా మంది నన్ను అడుగుతూ ఉంటారు క్వశ్చన్, మేడం ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు రైట్ ఏ ప్రోగ్రామ్, ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు థింక్, ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు, నాకు అసలు ఒక అల్గోరిథం ఎలా రాయాలో కూడా తెలియట్లేదు, ఐ డోంట్ నో హౌ టు రైట్ ఏ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అని. The first thing that any one of you need to do is practice and learn the syntax. See, when you are in LKG, they didn't teach you how to write sentences. They didn't teach you how to write sentences are written only when you know the characters, when you know the letters. So the first thing they did in your LKG and UKG is that they made you learn A, B, C, D first of all. So which is a syntax? They made you understand like A looks something like this, B looks something like this, and later on only, after that only you started writing sentences. So even this is a programming language wherein first thing is you need to practice with the existing programs. Practice the existing programs, understand the pattern. Understand the pattern, how it is formed. So once you practice, నువ్వేమి ఫస్ట్ నువ్వు కొత్త ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ రాసేయనక్కర్లేదు, కొత్త అల్గారిథమ్స్ రాసేయనక్కర్లేదు, ఏదో అద్భుతాలు సృష్టించక్కర్లేదు. ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ కి మీరేమి చేయనక్కర్లేదు. మీరు చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ మీరు చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, మేము ఇచ్చినటువంటి ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, అది ఎవరు రాసితే ఏమైంది, అది నేను రాసినా ఇంకెవరన్నా రాసినా, ఎవరు రాసినా, ఏ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో నుంచి తీసుకున్నా, ఎక్కడి నుంచి తీసుకున్నా కూడా ఫస్ట్ టేక్ ద ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్. టేక్ అట్లీస్ట్ 50 ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, టేక్ అట్లీస్ట్ 50 or 25 ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ తీసుకోండి. తీసుకొని ఆ 25 ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ మీరు వాళ్ళు ఎలా రాశారో చూడండి. See how the programmers have written the program. Understand the pattern, how they have written, input తీసుకున్నారు ఆ తర్వాత. So when you practice, what happens is you will know at least the structure of the program. Once you know the structure of the program, your brain will start understanding the pattern, and slowly what happens is you will be okay. ఇది ఏరియా ఆఫ్ సర్కిల్ చేశారు కదా, సో నేను ఏరియా ఆఫ్ రెక్టాంగిల్ ఎందుకు చేయకూడదు, నేను ఏరియా ఆఫ్ పెరిమీటర్ ఎందుకు చేయకూడదు, అంత చిన్న ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేసుకోండి. సో స్లోలీ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఈస్ your brain will try to convert the program which you already have learned from somebody, like area of circle చేసావు, ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తావు, ఏరియా ఆఫ్ రెక్టాంగిల్ ట్రై చేస్తావు. అంటే అప్లయింగ్ ద సేమ్ కాన్సెప్ట్, నువ్వు కొత్తగా ఏమి కనిపెట్టలేదు, కానీ అట్లీస్ట్ నీ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ని నువ్వు స్ట్రాంగ్ చేసుకుంటున్నావు అక్కడ. సో యువర్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ విల్ బికమ్ స్ట్రాంగ్. సో వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్, యూ విల్ ట్రై టు డూ పెరిమీటర్. సో నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చేసరికి ఆల్రెడీ వాల్యూస్ తీసేసుకున్నారు, వాల్యూస్ ఇచ్చేసారు. అలా కాకుండా నేను సొంతగా వాల్యూస్ రీడ్ చేసుకోవటం ఎలాగా. ఓకే, నేను ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నా ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో 2 వేరియబుల్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే, 2 వేరియబుల్స్ కి నేను 2 స్టేట్మెంట్స్ రాశాను. ఓకే ఫైన్, బట్ మేబీ my program is having 10 variables. Okay, 10 variables. Is there any procedure in the programming language which will allow me to take 10 variables at the same time? read the 10 variables at the same time, like how I give an array type of variables. So this kind of learning అనేది చాలా చాలా important, especially when you are learning programming language. So don't worry about that you are not able to create magic in the overnight. Programming don't come with that. Programming comes only with practice. Programming comes only with you practicing the existing ones. Why you're studying data structures? Why you're studying data structures? In data structures, everything that you learn is the algorithms that somebody have written. You are learning algorithms that somebody have written. They are teaching you Towers of Hanoi. Towers of Hanoi is a recursive algorithm which somebody have written. You're just learning it. What you're doing in data structures is you're learning the algorithms and you're learning how people, how programmers wrote the programs so that you will know how to write a program. That's what is learning the programming language. So don't worry about like I'm not able to do. ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పిన ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అన్ని మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసి మీరు డిఫరెంట్ వాటికి అప్లై చేయండి. So I'm saying like in the first question I said like I'm displaying the hex and oct. మీరు హెక్స్ అండ్ ఆక్ట్ కాకుండా మీరు ఆ షీట్ తీసుకొని ఆ షీట్ లో ఇంకేమైనా ఉంటే వాటిల్లోకి కన్వర్ట్ చేయండి, చేసుకోండి. దట్స్ హౌ యూ ఇంప్రూవ్ యువర్ లెర్నింగ్. ద మోర్ టైమ్ యూ స్పెండ్ ఫర్ యువర్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్, ద మోర్ యూ గెట్ ద ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్. ఓకే, సో ఇంకొకటి ఏంటంటే స్మార్ట్ వే ఆఫ్ లెర్నింగ్ అని ఉంటుందండి. దేర్ ఈస్ అ స్టూడెంట్, ఐ డోంట్ వాంట్ టు మెన్షన్ హర్ నేమ్. సో అమ్మాయికి ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ నుంచి ఆల్మోస్ట్ అన్ని సబ్జెక్ట్స్ మిగిలిపోయాయి. ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్, సెకండ్ ఇయర్, షీ వాజ్ థర్డ్ ఇయర్ లో వాళ్ళ పేరెంట్స్ వచ్చారు నా దగ్గరికి. సో హర్ పేరెంట్స్ కేమ్ టు మీ అండ్ లిటరలీ వాళ్ళిద్దరిని చూసి చాలా దూరం నుంచి వచ్చారు. సో లిటరలీ వాళ్ళిద్దరిని నా కోసం పాప మార్నింగ్ నుంచి ఈవినింగ్ దాకా వెయిట్ చేశారు. ఈవినింగ్ అవ్వగానే నాకు క్లాసెస్ ఉండి నేను కలవలేకపోయాను. సో ఈవినింగ్ అవ్వగానే పాపం ఇద్దరు ఆ క్యాంటీన్ లో పాపం ఏదో తిని అలా ఉన్నారు. నేను అలా వెయిట్ చేస్తారని నేను కూడా అనుకోలేదు, నాకు కూడా టైం లేదు కలవడానికి. సో ఈవినింగ్ ఐ మెట్ హర్ ఫాదర్ అండ్ హర్ మదర్, బోత్ వేర్ దేర్. షీఈస్ ద ఓన్లీ డాటర్ అండ్ ఆయన లిటరలీ ఏడ్చినంత పని చేశారు ఆయన. హీ సెడ్ లైక్ షీఈస్ హ్యావింగ్ ఆల్ ద సబ్జెక్ట్స్ అండి. మా అమ్మాయి నాకు ఉద్యోగం రాకపోయినా పర్వాలేదు, పాస్ అయితే చాలు మేడం, ఎలాగలా మీ చేతుల్లో పెడుతున్నాం చూడండి. నాకు అస్సలు టైం లేదు, బట్ స్టిల్ ఐ సెడ్ ఓకే, నా దగ్గరికి ఒక 5 days పంపించండి. ఐ జస్ట్ టెల్ హర్ హౌ టు స్టడీ ద సబ్జెక్ట్స్. ఓకే, హౌ టు ప్రిపేర్ ద సబ్జెక్ట్స్. ఐ జస్ట్ టెల్ హర్ హౌ టు ప్రిపేర్ ద సబ్జెక్ట్స్. ఒక 5 days మీరు ఓపిక చేసుకొని నాకు పలానా టైం కి నాకు తీసుకురండి. ఐ జస్ట్ టెల్ హర్. So I taught her that, and after that she cleared all her subjects, and even 1 month back అనుకుంటా నాకు మళ్ళీ మెసేజ్ పెట్టింది అమ్మాయి. ఫోన్ చేసింది, నేను ఎత్తలేకపోయాను, మెసేజ్ పెట్టింది, మేడం మిగిలిన సబ్జెక్ట్స్ కూడా క్లియర్ అయిపోయాయి అని. సో దెర్ ఈస్ ఎ వే టు లెర్న్ ఎ సబ్జెక్ట్ అండి. సో నెవర్ గెట్ డిసప్పాయింటెడ్ దట్ నాకు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ రావట్లేదు అని. బట్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ రావాలి. ఓకే, సో బీయింగ్ ఎ సిఎస్సి స్టూడెంట్స్ మీకు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ రావాలి. ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ రాకపోతే చెప్పాను కదా, నేను షెఫ్ అని చెప్పి నాకు స్టవ్ వెలిగించడం కూడా రాకపోతే ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, అట్లా ఉంటుంది. అంత హాస్యాస్పదంగా ఉంటుంది. ఇట్ విల్ బి లైక్ దట్. So how you learn programming? You learn programming only through practice. At least 1 hour you have to spend programming. If you are not spending 1 hour no programming spend cheyakapothe, you won't be able to become programmers. Okay, ela start cheyali programming? Just start with already written programs. Understand the pattern. Slowly you will understand how to write a program. Okay, coming to the next program. So I think this program is very clear. So we are taking different variables of different data types. Int తీసుకున్నాము, typecast చేసాము, and then we are printing it on the screen. Okay, so 77 is printed and all that. I have taken 77 for this first integer, and then 67 point and all that I have given. I have taken a string, and finally I have printed it on the screen. Okay, so this is one program. Now what you will get from this particular program is what you learn is, first thing you will learn how to read it. Okay, so you will learn how to read input, and second one is you will learn typecasting. Okay, so type conversion ante enti, okay, you will understand that. And next one is least you'll know how to format your print. Okay, so how you can put your output in the print statement. So you will understand the syntax of the program. You will understand the structure of the programming language. Okay, so that's what you will learn in the second program. Now coming to the third program. So the third program says that write a program to calculate the area of a triangle. Okay, here the area of the triangle is given by a formula over here. So just use this formula. So in this formula, like we are having S and we are having A, B and C. So S is calculated. Okay, so S is calculated based on the values of A, B and C. So what we are doing is we are reading the values of A, B and C. So here the values of A, B and C are taken as the floating values. I just have printed this ABC values here. So I have read the values like this 2, 3 and 2. But when I printed it, they are, because they are floating values, see they are printed as 2.0, 3.0 and 2.0 and all that. Then next time calculating S is equal to A plus B plus C by 2. Here see the concept that you have learned about operators and expressions, it came into the picture here. So since plus is of lesser priority than division, okay, you are actually giving it higher priority by putting it in parentheses. So that concept is also covered here. If you are not learning that concept, then this expression will give you a different result. Okay, so each and every concept that we have seen in the subject is very, very important. And after that, we are calculating the area, so which is square root of and all that. And then we are printing the value of the area on the screen. Okay, so this is a very, very simple program wherein we have calculated the area of a triangle. Okay, now coming to the fourth program. Now the fourth program is to calculate the distance between 2 points. And what is the formula? The formula is square root. Okay, so which is a straight line formula. So which we know distance is equal to and all this. And next we are reading the coordinates of the first point. Okay, so we are reading the coordinates of the first point and the coordinates of the second point. The coordinates of the first point are x1, y1. And the coordinates of the second point are x2, y. So we are naming them. You needn't name it as x1, y1. You can also name it as A, B, C, D, D, and all that. Okay, so because we just have learned this in our schooling and all that, so I used the same terminology. So x1, y1, x2, and y2 are taken, and then the distance is calculated with all the operators and all the expressions that
Ma'am, your voice is not audible, ma'am.
also calculated then on two floating point numbers. So we are waiting. So the question is on your. Okay, what is the question? Somebody read out.
Write a program to perform addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication on two floating point numbers.
Very good. Okay, we are perform 4 operations: addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication on the floating points. So this is how you read in the values. Okay, after that you are performing all the operations and printing all the results of the operations on the screen. That's it. Okay, right. So next I'll conduct a quiz here on the screen. So is the first unit clear? What you will do, girls, today? What you will do, girls? Please practice all the questions that I have given you, all the solutions. I have given you the solutions also. Just the thing is, like, you need to open your online editor and type in and see whether you're getting what kind of errors you're making, what kind of syntax errors you're making. So when you have that hands-on experience, then only you will be able to learn the programming language better. So I want all of you to practice. Okay. Now, can somebody give me the answer for the first question? What is the answer for the first question?
Bytecode.
Bytecode.
Very good. Python converts the source code into an intermediate form called the bytecode. What is the answer for the second one?
Parallel processing.
Multi-threading.
Threading. Okay, so multi-threading. Okay. What is the answer for the next one? Garbage collection. So memory leaks and dangling problems. Okay, so you might have learned this dangling pointers concept and memory leaks problems. So those problems will be not there because the garbage collection issues are the programmer needn't worry about what happens, how to clean up the memory and all that. Okay, so literals of the form A plus Bj are called as
Complex.
numbers. Okay, so what is 1.23? No, 123.45 E minus 9 is equivalent to
123.45 into 10 power minus 9.
very. So what is the answer for the sixth one? Dash converts an integer to a floating point number.
Float function.
Typecasting. Okay, type conversion. Okay. So implicit conversion is there, no? So in the implicit conversion, what happens if there is an integer in the floating point, the integer will be floating point number in the implicit. Okay. Hash has reserved memory locations that stores values.
Variables.
What is the next one? To find x power y, we use what operator?
Exponential operator.
What is that? What is exponential operator? How do you represent it?
2 asterisks.
Double asterisk. 2 asterisks.
Okay. Dash is a group of characters.
String.
Okay, strings is a group of characters. Dash is a way of writing international text.
Unicode.
Unicode. Yes, Unicode. Very good. Okay, fine. Variable names can contain what?
Alphabets, digits, and
Alphabets, digits, and underscore.
Alphabets, digits, and letters. Letters, digits, and underscores. Dash of a variable gives an indication of what type of value it is.
Data type.
Data type. Okay. Python refers to everything as a dash, including numbers and strings.
Object.
Object. Very good. Very good. Okay. A program in Python is stored with the dash extension.
.py.
dot p.
It is .py. Okay. So what will be the value over here?
3.
Yes. Okay. Right. To prompt the user for an input, the dash function is used. What is a function?
Input function.
Input function.
A statement block is formed by the level of
Indentation.
indentation. Very good. 70 not equal to 80 gives what?
True.
True.
Yeah, true. 89 not 0 gives what? It gives an error. Okay.
Error.
It gives an error because division of
Zero error.
zero is not possible. Okay, so this zero division will give you an error. Okay, what is the output of this particular
3040.
statement?
3040. 3040.
3040.
Okay, so it's 3040. Right. Okay, so because it will convert this internal thing into a string, okay, which is 3040, and this 3040 is of integer type or string type?
String type.
String type.
String type. No, I have given it outside, right?
Int type, ma'am.
The point.
Int type.
It is an integer
Int type.
But what happened? Inside it, like it has converted, it is being like 40, 30 and 40. It acted like this concatenation because we have given double quotes and all that. What happened is this is a string and this is a string. It will consider it that way and it will make 3040. And we are doing that coming to we have int, right? Int 3040. So what will happen? 3040 is now what? Int or string type?
Integer type.
It is of integer
Integer
type.
type.
Integer type.
Okay. So this is the key for all this one. Okay, fine, girls. This is the end of your first unit.